Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for clicking on today's video, and if you're new here, hi, I'm Jasmine, and we're gonna talk about everything I read in July. First of all, I just gotta say, I know I'm filming this a little late, but you know, better late than never, so not too much. But y'all, overall, July was a really good reading month. Once I start going through these books, I think you can tell, I also read a lot more than like my average reading. My average reading, I would probably say, ranges from like 10 to 12 books, and I think I like touched like 15 or 16 for the month of July. Granted, I was not traveling nowhere near as much as like I have been having to travel like through like other months, so I think you'll be able to really tell like that when I like start talking about the books. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. You already know I gotta pull up Goodreads, because do we really trust that I'm gonna remember? I read 17 books, and I actually finished 2 series. You know, y'all know I've been trying to knock out series, so I finished 2 series where like the series is like completely done. I am up to date on 1 series, and everything else was like standalones and stuff, or like interconnected standalones or whatever. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get into these books, and yeah, I'm gonna stop yapping. First book I read, and I also did not put these in order on here, so this is gonna be fun. We're gonna go in the order that I read them, so you guys can see like my thought process through this. But okay, so the first book I read was The Fiancé Dilemma by Elena Armas. This was actually an arc, and I absolutely love the Spanish love deception, and I've read The Long Game by her. I did not enjoy The Long Game as much as I like enjoyed the Spanish love deception, so I was like, okay, like let's see what this next book is giving. And I did enjoy this. I did enjoy it. It's still not better than the Spanish love deception. Is that what I feel like I called it something else completely different earlier, but it's not better than the Spanish love deception. And going into it, it actually did take me a little minute to get into it. Our female character, Josie, was just like, I don't know, it was like a lot, and I'm like, I think it was just so that like Elena like really gave us like every single idea of this woman, like every thought process she was having in her head, and it's like I already gotta deal with everything that goes on in my head, and now I'm like over here dealing with this. Like, I don't know, it became a lot, but eventually, like, you know, I think I started to realize that like this is how all our minds work, and we're just like absolutely getting every single thought that crosses through this girl's mind. But if you don't know, this book is a fake engagement, and there's not really a true, it's more so just like for appearance sake of the fake engagement, but it's actually her sister's best friend, and yeah, you just get to go through all of that and see how that works out. But I gave it 3.5 stars, so wasn't great, wasn't horrible. I think it just did what it needed to do in the moment, and you know, that's okay. The next book I read, I actually read this for a book club, and of course I didn't even go to the book club meeting because I don't know why. I just didn't go. But it was None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell, and I have read, I think, one other book by Lisa Jewell, which I think, let's see if I can find it. I think it was the book about like the girl, the daughter that went missing or something. Hold on, I'm gonna figure it out, because now I'm invested and I gotta find out what the book was. But if I remember correctly, yeah, Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell, that's what it was. So I really enjoyed that one, and so when I saw this was a book club pick, I was like, might as well try it. And y'all, I absolutely loved it. This book, it's about two women and they end up having the same birthday and they end up crossing paths. And so one of them is like, she's married, well, they're both married, but one views the other as like her life is all put together and like she really wants to you know, like she is like inspired by her. And so honestly, y'all, what's their names, because I don't remember their names. You have Alex, and yeah, so Alex is the one that seems like she has her life together, and then Josie is the one that's like inspired by Alex. But basically Josie convinces Alex to basically host her on her podcast for like her life story. And we go through like all the podcast episodes and just like everything that goes on with the two women and like how their lives are. And I don't really know how else to explain it, but yeah, it's basically like it's definitely a domestic, like on the domestic thriller side, but it was really good. And seeing like how these two women that are like essentially polar opposites, how they even like become like what they were, or like even like get to the level that they were like in the book, because like they are so different and it's like everyone else can pick up on it but them two. And so yeah, I absolutely enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars, and like I said, I read it and didn't even go to the book club meeting, but I'm not mad at it because like I said, I did enjoy it. So the next book I read though was King of Pride by Anna Wang. This is the second book in the King of Sin series. And y'all, Kai, literally, yo, I love this man. I absolutely love this man. I was blushing so hard through this book. Like, I just love everything about it. And I love how like, which I mean obviously this is the gist of the titles, but like they're the 7 sins, and it's just like I love how she really points that out, and you can see like how prideful Kai is and like how he struggles with letting that go. But I just love it. I was so excited for Isabella story after we read King of Wrath, like seeing her character in it. So I was super excited to see how this played out for her. I will say the third act breakup, I was just like, did we really need it? Like, could we have gone without it? I feel like yes, we could have, but that's neither here nor there. It was still good. I gave it 4 stars. I think if we didn't have the third act breakup, it could have been a 5-star. But yes, it delivered. Like, it was not even a forbidden, but like where Isabella worked, it was actually forbidden to fraternize with members of the club that she worked at, and Kai is a member of the club, which is like this elite like socialite club. And yeah, it's like a secret that they're dating, and or really just like fooling around for a while, but it turns out to like a really cute like love story, of course. And seeing both of them like in the thick of like trying to get where they want to be in their careers, you know, I think that just helps like allude to the fact of like pridefulness. So yes. And then the next book I read, which I actually did a reading vlog on this one, so if you guys want to know like all my like every single thought I've had of this book, definitely go check that out. But it is Reckless by Lauren Roberts, and his name is Kai too, and I love Kai in this one. I absolutely love Kai in this one. The only thing, so I would say I gave this one 5 stars, and I'm not gonna say too much like that because I have a reading vlog on it, but I am just still baffled that like when I see other people's reading vlogs, they're like, oh, like that, like I predicted this one thing, and I'm like, how? Like, was I just like not like, I think I was just like so into the book, I was like not even like looking at clues to like allude to like think like, okay, this could actually happen. I don't know, I think I was just like soaking in every word of this book and like not even thinking of like what like that one moment, what that one thing could have been. And so like I was just like completely shocked at the very end. But yeah, I love the cat and mouse chase. I love like how they are kind of like stuck together the entire book, like most of the book, where we just are like essentially only focusing on them two. We're not focusing on like outer characters. Like we get so much of just Kai and Peyton in this book. So I love that. Like with the first book, we got so many like of the sub characters. We got, you know, everybody in the palace, and whereas this one, it's just, we're just focusing on those two. And so I really love that. And like I said, I gave it 5 stars. So if you want to see all of my little thoughts on that, definitely go check out that reading vlog. And I am trying to like, there we go, maybe that'll be easier to grab. I actually do not have the physical copy, so I will put the cover here, but it is Off the Beaten Path by Madison Wright, and this is the first book in the Mountains Are Calling series. The second book releases like in a month or 2, I think. But I gave this a 4.5, and this is a small town romance. I actually read this, this was not a book club pick, but it ended up being brought up in a book club, and then we all just started reading it. So that's how this book came to be. But yeah, I absolutely love this one. You have a single dad and a young woman, and they for years they've been neighbors for years. And the woman, she always like bothers him by like sending her packages over there. It's just like you know, fun and games that she just, you know, but they are both on a dating app, and they meet each other on dating, but they don't know it's them two. And once they find out that like it's the other person they're talking to, you start to see how that like changes. Also, there's some fake dating in there, because it's a small town, and you know, word gets out and things like that. So yes, that's like really what I can like say about the book. I honestly don't remember every single thing, but it's Ren and Holden. That's their names, Ren and Holden. And it's just nice to see like Holden being a single dad. And like y'all know, when it's a single dad, like they be all about their daughter, and well, their kid, but this one is a daughter. And so seeing like him like let Ren in and like let her like be there for him and like be there for the daughter, it's just, it was so cute, and absolutely loved it. Like I said, I gave it 4.5 stars. It's like literally what you can expect out of a small town romance. Like that's really what it was. That's what it was, and that's what it is. The next book I read was It's Not Summer Without You by Jenny Han. So this is the second book in the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy, and I literally read this in one day. We pick up on where The Summer I Turned Pretty left off, well, like a year later, but like we go to the, well, not even a year, is it a year later? Yeah, it's like a year later. And so this summer looks a lot different than what it did last summer, and Belly is trying to come to terms with that. And after the year of school that she's had, she's just so used to being at Cousin's Beach. It's like her one escape, and so this summer it's just not the same. Her dynamic with the brothers have changed. Her dynamic with her mom has changed, and so even her dynamic with her friends have changed. So we just get to see how that plays out, and that's all I'm going to say about this one, because it's the second in the series, so I don't want to spoil it if you decide that you do want to read it. The next book I read was Shattered Sea, and this is the 4th book in the Tattered and Torn series by Catherine Cowles. And so this one follows Laken and what's his name, Bowden. Laken is the friend of like the siblings that we met. Well, she's really the closest friend to Addie, which Addie is in from a previous book, but she had a traumatic accident her senior year of high school before she was getting ready to go to college and start on this gymnastics scholarship, and something horrible happens where she ends up losing a really close person to her. And so over the years, all of the friends that were a part of that accident have just kind of separated, you know, coped in their own ways. And so now she has like become you know, she's accepted her new life. She's accepted her new day-to-day life. And Bowden is this famous movie star who is in town trying to just get he's like shadowing a horse trainer because of a new movie that he's working on. And so he's just trying to really get in touch of like what the role actually, like what the role really has. What's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but basically what the role consists of, so like he can have the movie as authentic as possible. And so Bowden walks into the gallery that Laken works in, and instantly there's a connection. But Laken is not, you know, she's obviously gonna pretend like it's not there, but Bowden is like, it's here. And yeah, you just get to see how that plays out. Absolutely love this. I love Laken. I love that we got to see more of her. I don't know if it was just me, but from the other books, I just pictured Laken as like this older woman. And I don't know, it probably said that she was like in the same age group as the other women, but for some reason I just kept thinking of this woman as an older woman. Like, it was just not, so like it was nice seeing her book, because what I was thinking was not it. So my entire view on Laken changed, and I absolutely love her, and I love her and Bowden together. And I don't know if I gave that, so I gave The Summer I Turned Pretty 4 stars, and I gave Shattered Seed 3 stars. But then the next book I read was Throttled by Lauren Asher. So technically the fine print was on my 2024 like TBR, but I changed this to Throttled because I was like, I'm just gonna do it in publication order, and so this was her first published book. So technically I did knock a book off of my 2024 TBR. And y'all, absolutely love this book. I gave this book 4.25, and this is also in one of my reading vlogs. It's in my mood reading vlog. Yeah, I believe it's in my mood reading vlog. And absolutely ate this up. I still am like, it was so, like, so many parts of it was unrealistic, but that is why I ate it up. It was just everything. I love the, like, the thing between Santi and Noah, like their feud and like having to like play for the same team or ride for the same team. And then you have Maya, who's like, you know, she's just kind of tagging along, being the sister, and, you know, traveling and just soaking up this life that she's able to have thanks to her brother. And so yeah, I loved it. I loved it. If you want to hear more of my thoughts about it, definitely go check out that reading vlog. Like I said, I gave it 4.25. Next book I read, why is the next book I read gotta be at the very bottom of this stack? I just don't understand. It's a Heartstopper, y'all. I am in my Heartstopper era, and I am so here for it. I love it. I have been watching it. I've been reading and watching it like together. So like when I read, like, you know, the first chapter, I'll go watch the first episode, because like, that's, if you've read it, you know how it works. But y'all did not expect to love this as much as I did. This is my first graphic novel, and I just ate this up. Like, it was like such a breath of fresh air. Like, just like seeing the pictures, and like, it was just everything. I loved everything about it. And I mean, there's just nothing else really I can say. I gave it 4 stars, and I already did read the second book, but that's gonna be my August wrap-up because I actually just finished it. But yeah, Nick and Charlie literally are adorable. The casting is perfect. Like, everything that I have heard about this book falls true. Like, everything, even the show, like, it's just, it's all perfect. And there is nothing bad I can say about this. The only reason I can't give it 5 stars is just simply because, like, it just didn't give that 5-star feeling. But like, I absolutely loved it, so that's why I gave it 4 stars. But if you have not read the Heartstopper series, or if you've heard about it and if you wanted to dive into it, this is your sign to dive into it. Literally one of the cutest graphic novels ever. Not that I've read many graphic novels. Like I said, that was my first one, so yeah. Okay, the next book I read was A Taste of Poison, and this is a Snow White retelling, and this is from the Entangled with Faith series by, y'all already know I'm not about to butcher her name, so we just call her Tess. That's what we call her on this channel. Her name is Tess, Tess Odette. But yeah, this is a Snow White retelling. I have not touched this series in a few months, and I don't know why, but Snow White was definitely not one of my favorites growing up, and I think that's kind of why I put it off, because the other three were like my go-to like fairy tale or whatever when I was growing up. So you had Beauty and the Beast for the first one, and then Cinderella for the second one, and then A Little Mermaid for the third one. And so we have Snow White, and then we have Sleeping Beauty for the fifth one. And I think I just put those off because those were like the two I just really did not really watch as a kid. But nonetheless, I did enjoy this. It was really good. I do feel like it was a little bit long. Like I had some moments where I was just like, I am like ready for this book to be over with. But I did give it 3 stars. And if you know the Snow White story, then it's very similar. There are little differences, but the main character, Astrid has run off because she has been accused of killing her father, essentially, with the poison. And so the queen sends a bounty hunter, which his name is Tobin. She has sent him to basically hunt down Astrid and bring her back to the queen so that she can seek revenge on her for killing technically her husband slash her own father, if that makes sense. Like the queen's husband's and Astrid's father, same person. Doesn't make sense. But yeah, so but then it takes a turn, and Tobin and Astrid end up working together to try to find the truth of what happened to her father. So I mean, your normal little fairy tale, I guess, with a little twist. But like I said, it was good for what it was. I just wasn't obsessed with it like how I was obsessed with the first 3 books. So we'll see how I like the Sleeping Beauty, but I do love the cover of that one. I love the actual hard copy of that book. So I told y'all there was a lot of books this month. I think we're almost there. We're almost at the end. But the next book I read was The Perfect Couple by Ellen Hildebrand. This is definitely like one of the biggest mood reads of the month, and I absolutely love this book. I gave it 4 stars, but I read this one because I randomly saw on Instagram that this is becoming a movie, and I think it comes out in like September. And so I was like, it's time to read it. It's time to go ahead and like start your Ellen Hildebrand journey. As you guys know, I have a few of her books and I just keep putting them off. So I'm so glad I finally started this. I am actually now wanting to plan a trip to Nantucket for just a nice little reading weekend. So thank you, Ellen, for convincing me. But yeah, I absolutely love this. I love that it was like the perfect summer beach vibe, but also like has that mystery aspect. So if you don't know of this book, or if you haven't heard of this book, this is actually her book that she recommends that you start with. Could it be because the movie's coming out? Probably, because it's actually the third in like a series, like standalone series, interconnected standalones, I guess. I don't really know, but it's like her recommended book to start off with. And there is a wedding that's happening on Nantucket Island, and the morning of the wedding, the bridesmaid comes up dead. They find her dead in the ocean, or like washed up on the ocean. So yeah, now essentially this wedding day turns into an investigation, and everyone has secrets, you know, and we find out all the secrets. And the ending I did not expect, but it was still good. I don't know what, I think the reason why I couldn't give it 5 stars is because the ending, I don't know what I expected it to be, but it just was not what happened. I don't know, I feel like I wanted something a little bit more sinister. I don't know, maybe, I don't know, but it was good. I definitely recommend it. It's an easy read. It's a little on the thicker side, but like it flows so fast. And the next book I read was One Perfect Couple. You see how I went back to back with The Perfect Couple and then One Perfect Couple, by Ruth Ware. Though this is my first Ruth Ware book, and I absolutely loved it. This is giving I forget what they say. It's like Love Island, and I forgot what they like. It's like giving reality TV. I honestly, y'all, let me stop because I don't remember what they say. But yes, this is about it's like a reality contest, reality show contest, but you have 5 different couples, I think 5 different couples that go to this island, and essentially they are like trying to prove that like they are the perfect couple. But like their first or second night there is a huge storm that happens, and things start to go south. They are basically fighting for survival now. You know, trying to last on the like goods they have as far as like food and water, until hopefully someone can come and save them. And yeah, it gets a little brutal, you know, and there are still questions I have about this, but I don't want to spoil it. But like, there are some questions that I have that still make me mad that I don't have the answer to, because I'm like, why like did somebody do this one thing? Like, it's just still one thing that I cannot get over. And if you've read it, let's talk in the comments about it. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, if you've read it, let me know in the comments, and I'll let you know what part that I'm just like, I just still don't understand what was the purpose of this. But overall, it was still a really good read. I read it super fast. I think I read this in like less than 24 hours, if I'm being honest with you. But I gave it a 3.5. But yeah, I don't like that I still had questions at the end. I think that was just my issue. Like, and I still have the same questions to this day. Like, I mean, is there an answer? Yes, but it's like, is that really an answer? Like, it's not the answer to that one question that I have. So yeah, I'm not gonna go on and on about that. We'll always have summer, so I finished the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy so I could watch the show. And guys, this book, this is probably my favorite one out of the series. I did give it 4 stars. And I just love the drama. I love the complete 180. And it's like I feel like I should have seen it coming, just like what the main thing that happened in this book. But also it was like, are they really about to go through with this? Like, it's kind of like the vibe I was getting. But yes, absolutely loved it. In the books, I would say, this is not a spoiler, but in the books, I would say I am definitely team Conrad in the books, but in the show, I'm team Jeremiah. I don't know why, but yeah, I am team Jeremiah in the show, but in the books, team Conrad. And so, you know, I can't say which one I would choose, because I basically team both of their teams. But I will say the love triangle through that series is ridiculous, and my girl Belly has some decisions to make. But then the next book I read was Fractured Sky by Catherine Cowell. So this is the 5th and final book of the Tattered and Torn series. I told y'all I was finishing series this month. But this one focuses on Sheila and Ramsey. And so if you have read this series, then you know, and they call her Shy, but Shy is like the very beginning of this book is like we find out what happens to Shy. And so pretty much the whole entire series kind of is like a domino effect from that one event when she was not even a teenager. She was like 9, I think. She was probably younger than that. She was very young, and she unfortunately was kidnapped. And so luckily they do get her back. But yeah, like this whole entire series like stems from that one event. And so at the end of the series, we are finally seeing her like grow into who she is, and like just like get to really see her thought process, because throughout the series she's just very this standoffish person, and we don't like, the only thing we really get from her is that like she just likes to be alone. Like, she is just someone who does not like all attention on her, and like all understandable. So it was like super nice to see her open up to someone, and just seeing her like blossom into this beautiful woman, and like her family learning like her boundaries and stuff. Like, I just absolutely loved it. I did give it 3 stars, but now that I think about it, I think I could go for like 4. Like, when I think about the book, maybe 3.5. I'll say 3.5. Yeah, 3.5. But yeah, absolutely love them too. Love Ramsey, love Shy, love the dogs, like everything about it, like just the environment, the ambiance, like all of that, I absolutely devoured. The next book, this was my lowest rated book, and let me tell y'all, I was kind of disappointed, but I read Bad Girl Reputation by Elle Kennedy, and y'all know I love Elle Kennedy. I love the Off-Campus series. I cannot wait to dive into the Briar You series, also the spin-off of the Off-Campus series. Like, and I loved Good Girl Complex. I read Good Girl Complex last year in like January or February. Absolutely devoured it. I didn't even realize that was an Elle Kennedy book, and that was actually my first book by her. And so I have been putting off finishing up this series for so long. I don't know why, but I just, like, for some reason could not convince myself to continue it, even though I loved Good Girl Complex. But I finally committed to doing it, and I was a little disappointed. And so I want to try to finish it. I definitely want to read the third book, but we're going to see what happens, because your girl is a little skeptical. We'll see. But this one focuses on the twin brother, what's his name, Evan. So Good Girl Complex focuses on the other brother, which I honestly forgot his name. I forgot Evan's name. I forgot Evan's twin brother name. But this one focuses on him, Evan, and it focuses on the girl. Her name is Guinevere, and so Evan and Guinevere have like a long history. They have been together really, especially in high school, but I think it even ages back to like middle school. But they were known as the couple like that just gets into trouble. They're like this young, wild and free couple. And so randomly Guinevere decides to leave Avalon Bay, and she moves, and the reason is just to get herself together. She's just kind of tired of having like this bad girl persona. She's just trying to like improve herself, and so she comes back because her dad needs her to come home to help out with the business after the passing of their mom. And her and Evan reconnect, and yeah, it's just, I think the biggest thing that bothered me is just like how often she would just like refer to like herself as like being like this bad girl, and like, oh, like I don't want to be the bad girl anymore. It just got so repetitive, and like honestly their connection just felt like it was all physical. Like it was just very surface level, and it seems like all they had in common was, oh, how great their physical connection was. Like, that's just what I got from it. So I did end up giving this a 2.5, and now that I'm thinking about it, I honestly can knock it down to a 2, because I would not recommend it. I would not reread it. I will honestly say just read Good Girl Complex and call it a day. That's just my personal opinion. But I do gotta see it through, so I will be reading Summer Girl something. It's on my book cart, but I don't remember the name. But yes, I do plan to read the third book, and hopefully it's better, because that one was a waste of my time. I'm sorry, but that's just the honest truth. I read Quicksilver, and guys, the hype is so real. Cyrus is a young adult, and she lives in this like the lower parts of their world, which is called like the third ward or something like that. But she ends up stealing a very prized possession to like the people higher up, and eventually she gets caught, and she ends up having to be summoned by the queen. And so the queen calls for her death, and in the midst of her dying, she ends up somehow opening up a portal, and the Fae world, essentially, like the portal opens up to the Fae world. And so you have this guy, his name is Kingfisher, but he ends up coming out of the portal and taking Cyrus with him back to the Fae world. And she is there. Essentially, they brought her there because no one has been able to open the portal, so they are like trying to figure out why she can open the portal. But Kingfisher has other ideas. His goal is to have her help him win a war, and in order to do that, he needs her to, she basically has this power, they learn she has this power to basically mend like metal. And so you have this object called quicksilver, and it's just like this deadly substance that's like, it can be a solid, it can be a liquid, it can be transformed. And so what Kingfisher needs Ceres to do is mend the quicksilver and the metal together, so that it will protect his soldiers, because the quicksilver is like, it's also, it can protect you as well as harm you if not used correctly. And so that is essentially what this book is about. But in the midst, things happen. The people that Kingfisher's like people are at war with, they are at war with the vampires, and there's just so much, and I just don't know how else to explain it without going on a tangent. But yeah, it was so good, like literally I cannot wait for the second one. And yeah, so that's what the term quicksilver is like, this substance, this item that holds a lot of power, and Kingfisher is trying to win a war by having like this quicksilver basically like made in a certain way. I don't know if that explained anything at all, but I gave it 4 stars. Cannot wait for the second book. I absolutely love Kingfisher, love Ceres, I love one of their characters is Carrion, I think that's his name. Y'all, he reminds me so much of like just like the lighthearted like one. So like think of like a Cassian in a sense, but not really not like only in like the metaphorical like funny way. Like he's just always the one to like say off the cuff things. That's like how I think of Carrion, and it was just so funny. I absolutely like would giggle when he would say something. The last book I read for the month of July was Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I have been putting this book off just because I love Abby Jimenez, and I just did not want to be without an Abby Jimenez book. Yes, I have the older series, but like I wanted to hold on to it for as long as possible. Needless to say, it got 5 stars. It got a smooth 5 stars from me. And I like read a chunk of this on the plane when I was headed to Chicago. And y'all, like the night I got to Chicago, I was like planning to like go out and sightsee. The only thing I did was sightsee this book in my hotel room because I could not stop reading. This book was so good. But if you do not know what this book is about, you have Emma and Justin, and they both believe they have this curse where like whenever they date someone and then they break up with that person, the person that they broke up with, when they start dating someone new, ends up being their soulmate. And so essentially it's like they feel like they never can find their soulmate because the people that they date obviously has another soulmate out there. So they decide to essentially date, and then hoping that when they break up they will each meet their soulmates following, since they both have like the believed same curse on them. And so they meet and they like, you know, have this agenda like, okay, this is like what I normally do in my past dating situationships, so like if we do this then it should work. And so we go through that, we go through the process, and that's all I'm gonna say. But just know it's quality Abby Jimenez, like perfection. 5 stars, honestly 6 stars. Definitely probably one of my top books of the year, and I could like literally reread it like right now. Like when I finished it, I was ready to reread it. Like honestly, when I was in the middle of the book, I was ready to reread it. That's just how good it was. Like, and in the playlist, everything is just amazing about that book. So if you have not read it, I definitely recommend it. I cannot wait. I hope we get Emma's friend in the next book, because I love how like we have 2 worlds combining there. If you've read it, you know, then the epilogue. I just cannot wait. But yeah, so those are the books I read for the month of July. Like I said, you can definitely tell I had a lot more time because your girl was reading a lot of books. But let me know what your top book of the month of July was, and you know, what are you looking forward to reading in August? I think my top book of the month that I'm ready to read is the next book in the Maple Hill series by Hannah Grace. I cannot wait to, what is the name of the book? I don't know, but it's pre-ordered. But I cannot wait to read it. I think that's my most like anticipated read for the month of July. I mean, for the month of August. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop rambling because now I'm just like getting tongue-tied. But yeah, I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video. And make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment, and yeah, I will see you guys soon. Bye.